Here's your wrestling news for December 4th, 2022. And we're starting off with the Royal Rumble, as next month's show will feature the 36th Men's Royal Rumble match, which will feature 30 superstars trying to earn a world title match at WrestleMania. Despite so many spots being available, not everyone can be in the matches, and there's no shortage of names expected to miss next month's biggest match. Number 5. Los Lotharios. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo have been with WWE for some years now, but the pair are yet to find regular success on the main roster. Sure, Humberto was once in the US title picture and Garza was once highlighted as the next Eddie Guerrero, but those days are a thing of the past. Instead, Los Lotharios last competed back in September when the duo lost to Hit Row. And with WWE showing literally no interest in either man, expect both to miss next month's Men's Royal Rumble match. Number 4. Akira Tozawa. Like Los Lotharios, there was a time when WWE showed a tiny bit of interest in Akira Tozawa, but that isn't happening anymore. Despite recently ditching his ninja attire, Tozawa doesn't receive any storylines, and his appearance in the past few weeks have only been as part of other storylines for bigger stars. A former Cruiserweight champion and 16-time 24/7 champion, both titles have since been retired, and with both championships gone, expect Tozawa to be featured even less as we draw closer to the Rumble. Number 3. LA Knight and Bray Wyatt. Unlike Los Lotharios and Tozawa, LA Knight and Bray Wyatt are big enough names to earn spots in the Rumble, but that reportedly won't be the plan. Instead, it's rumored that the two will face in the Pitch Black match at next month's event, though fans and creative are still in the dark about what that match will be. While there is precedence of superstars pulling double duty at the Rumble event, this is something WWE is unlikely to do in this case. This storyline has been about how vicious Wyatt's attacks on Knight have been, so it'd make little sense for him to shrug off a match with Bray and wrestle the same night. As for Bray, him being in the Rumble match and getting eliminated would hardly do him any favors, so it's in everyone's interest for both to skip the 30-man match. Number 2. A member of Imperium. With only 30 spots and plenty of stables in WWE today, not everyone in every faction will be able to enter the Rumble, and that'll likely affect Imperium. Gunther, being the leader, will no doubt be in, but don't expect the Austrian to have too much backup. It's been established in the past that WWE may let one half of a team in, but not always both, as we saw in 2009 when JTG flipped a double-headed coin to decide whether he or the late Shad Gaspard could compete. Expect either Giovanni Vinci or Ludwig Kaiser to not get a spot in the Rumble, making Gunther's path to WrestleMania's main event that much more difficult. Number 1. Kevin Owens. Owens is certainly a big enough star to warrant a spot in the Men's Rumble, a match that we've seen him compete in the past. With that said, Owens is unlikely to be involved, but that's not a bad thing for the prize fighter. It's instead because WWE are reportedly working towards Owens challenging Roman Reigns at the Rumble, and why bother competing for a title match when you can have a title match instead? Unfortunately for Owens, it's also reported that Reigns will remain champion until WrestleMania at the very earliest, so expect the prize fighter to be just the latest victim for the Tribal Chief. Owens headlined Night 1 of WrestleMania this year, but with him missing the Rumble, don't expect back-to-back headliners for the former Universal Champion. Now this year, there have been few acts more popular than Sami Zayn and his role as part of the Bloodline. Zayn had been trying to get on the group's good side for months before he was made the honorary Uce, but this role has been in the works for a very long time. It was in April that Zayn started this program with Roman Reigns and his faction, but as Sami told Peter Rosenberg, plans for him and the Bloodline were made much earlier. I won't pull back the curtain too much, but the idea was kicked around about a year ago, a good 6 months before the seeds were even planted on screen. The first time I think there was any interaction between myself and the Bloodline was just after WrestleMania. In actuality, the idea was first discussed going into Survivor Series of last year. Zayn added that the idea began while he was sat in catering, and an ESPN interview with Reigns was playing, in which Roman praised Zayn and said he hopes to work with him one day. Now, not only are they working together, but you rarely see Reigns on TV without Zayn being nearby, as the honorary Uce continues to be a hit with fans. Last year, Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis tied the knot in NXT in possibly the first time a WWE wedding hasn't gone wrong. Unfortunately, the couple's married bliss didn't last long as Lumis was released earlier this year, but now he's back in WWE and reunited with his better half. Over the weekend, Lumis made a return to NXT for a live event in Jacksonville, Florida, and quickly dispatched of Javier Bernal. Post-match, Hartwell appeared and the two embraced, and the crowd in Jacksonville were thrilled to see the two together again. This may have been just for one night, but fans clearly still love the Index relationship, and it's something WWE should seriously consider returning to when Hartwell is called up to the main roster. Over the past week, it's been reported that William Regal will be leaving AEW soon and that his return to WWE is being seen as a given by the wrestlers of both companies. Regal was released from WWE in January of this year after over 20 years of service, but now with Triple H running things, the future is looking up for the British legend. According to sources, WWE is so confident on a Regal return that ideas are already being discussed for his role with the promotion under the new regime, with the belief being that he'll work backstage. A backstage role is certainly something that Regal would excel at, from being a coach at the Performance Center to being a producer of matches or even as an influential part of the production team. Some in WWE have compared this role for Regal as to a Matt Bloom or a Norman Smiley, names who have been with the company for decades, helping out in various tasks backstage. Another idea being floated around is for Regal to be an on-screen performer and to work as a manager for somebody on the main roster. In AEW, Regal spent his entire run as a manager, first for the Blackpool Combat Club and briefly for MJF, and names are already being floated around as potential clients. Many have said that Charlie Dempsey, who debuted for NXT earlier this year, is the obvious choice, given that he's Regal's son, but others have argued that Regal and the Brawling Brutes is the better combo. While some have suggested Austin Theory, this idea has met some resistance for being too MJF and could earn WWE accusations of copying AEW. A third idea being floated around is for Regal to be an on-screen general manager, but this time on the main roster instead of NXT. The belief is that Regal has already proven himself in the role, and his years as a wrestler will give the Brit plenty of authority among the younger superstars in the role. Regal hasn't shied away from teasing his WWE return, even telling fans at this week's Wales Comic Con that it is happening, but what do you want to see him do? Let us know in the comments. Over to Smackdown now, as the night wasn't exactly the best for Legado del Fantasma, as Santos Escobar lost the Smackdown World Cup Finals to Ricochet. After the show, the faction, along with Damian Priest, faced Braun Strowman, Liv Morgan, Matt Riddle, and Madcap Moss, but Zelina Vega was able to get some frustration out. At one point, Vega and Strowman had a face-off in the ring, and the Queen's Crown winner gave a vicious slap to the Monster Among Men. After the spot, Morgan entered the ring to hit her Jersey Codebreaker on Vega, while Strowman would hit the running power slam on Joaquin Wilde for the win. Both Strowman and Vega appeared on this week's SmackDown, but as her actions post-show proved, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog that matters. Now, fans haven't seen Charlotte Flair since May, as the Queen has been out since losing the SmackDown Women's Championship to Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania Backlash. There's been no confirmation on when Flair will return, but from a recent photo, it may not be long before she's back on TV. On her Instagram story, Charlotte shared a photo with NXT's Zoey Stark and Alba Fyre, and it's clear the three had been training hard. Flair had been rumored for War Games, but the women's match instead saw the return of Becky Lynch. But with the Women's Rumble match drawing near, it may not be long before the Queen of All Eras is back on the show. And we're ending with Dustin Rhodes, who for decades has entertained fans, whether in WCW, WWE, or now AEW, but this week, the man once known as Goldust has confirmed that he will be hanging up his boots for good. At the Blizzard Brawl tapings, Rhodes announced that 2023 will be his final year in wrestling, and after debuting in 1988, we're hoping for the best for Dustin in whatever he does next. That's it, guys. That's your wrestling news for today. Make sure to check out our channel for amazing wrestling content. Also, subscribe to our channel for daily wrestling news.